In today's video, we have quite a bit of information on lots of different topics. I'm going to quickly jump out of the way real quick, just so you can see the list of them. Deep Desert, Echo Labs, World Events, and the map. Don't forget the timestamps down below as they break up the content further into different sections. Let's just hop straight into it. That was the dumbest intro, I'm sorry. What is the Deep Desert? The straightforward answer is it's a PvP zone, but in its heart, it's so much more. Let's dig into this deeper. The map is 9 times the size of Hagar Basin, which is the starting area. And for reference, Hagar Basin is as big as Conan Exiles. Here is the Conan Exiles map on screen, and here is the rough size of the Deep Desert, which I've kind of mapped out to be 9 times bigger. You need to craft an Ornithopter to get out of Hagar Basin, so it also makes sense that you'd also need one to travel to the Deep Desert as well. What is the point of the Deep Desert? It's to harvest big spice blows, which can be sold at a profit, and as they say, there are also Echo Labs where you can find rare and limited time schematics that others might not get their hands on to make your guild more powerful or to be sold on the player market for a high price. As the map is so big, it's around 575 kilometers squared. It takes 15 minutes in real life to cross it in an Ornithopter. So you'll need someone in your guild or a small team to help map out the area to find the best interest points. You can make bases in this area to ensure you're built close to harvest spice or to be near to Echo Labs. You may ask, but why would I ever leave this area? Well, 2 things. The whole area is PvP enabled. They have mentioned as you enter the Deep Desert, there will be a small section called the Shield Wall, which is a PvE area to stop other people basically abusing others when they come straight into the PvP area or the Deep Desert. Although the further north you go, the higher percentage of spice blows you will encounter, so it is worth traveling further into the Deep Desert. Another thing you'll need to worry about is the Coriolis Storm, which will wipe out all bases and change the location of all interest points for the next week. This will also generate a new procedurally generated Deep Desert for you to map out all over again. Here is how it's said to work. On a Tuesday night, the Coriolis Storm happens and resets the map. On Wednesday/Thursday, guilds would send out their scouts to map out the Deep Desert. Thursday/Friday, guilds are building bases close to the things they want, like the Spice Blows and the Echo Labs, and then fighting for the best base spots, and then trying to harvest as much as they can or raid the Echo Labs as many times as possible before it gets reset again and everything changes. There is a system called the cartography system, where you can print your own maps, share them with other people in your guild, so they can also reveal those locations on their map as well. The idea is to create an economy of map sharing, so you can sell the maps on the exchange. Maps have different layers, so if you scan stuff, you can mark where resources are as well, so some maps are better than others. You can mark shipwrecks, spice blows, high resources, and uncovered dungeons/Echo Labs. To do this, you'll need to climb to a high location and shoot up a survey probe. It is said to take around 6 hours to map the whole Deep Desert. You may say, nah, I just want to get some good gear and get out as quickly as possible, and that is an option. To get any items out of the Deep Desert, you'll need to travel with them on you to the Shield Wall and then leave this location. Obviously, you might get attacked on the way there, so you have to proceed with caution. Death is something you may fear on Arrakis. We have been told a small amount of information, but it sounds like if you die in a PvE area, you will lose a percentage of your carried resources, including spice and Solari, which is the in-game currency for those who don't know. If you were in a PvP area like the Deep Desert, you lose the resources you've harvested, which another player can also pick up if you don't get to your body in time. Along with that, you also lose some armor durability. It does sound like you keep your main weapons and armor you are carrying though. Although, if you die by the sandworm, literally anywhere, you lose everything. So try not to ride the sandworms, or at least not until the feature is added. If you get hit enough by a player or an NPC, you will go into a downed but not out state. In this state, if you continue to take damage, you will die, but if you are able to crawl away from the damage, after a small amount of time, you will get back up again. Echo Labs, or testing facilities, or as they call it, dungeons. Echo Labs are basically referred to as the Fallout Vault for Dune Awakening. So to break down what that means, let's look at everything we know about the Echo Labs/testing sites. They are ancient stations which were built and forgotten by the first Imperial explorers. A few later were discovered by Fremen. Some were dedicated to the study of Arrakis and the adaptation of spice. Others were used for less conventional research. They are there to give you a change of location. Some might have an overabundance of plant life, giving you different environments you wouldn't expect to find on a desert planet. These locations will have storylines, enemies to fight, and loot to be found. Like a dungeon, but in the case of story elements, hence what is a bit like a Fallout Vault. The loot system is said to work like this. You can find unique schematics in dungeons, but you can only craft the item once, and then the schematic is gone. So for a week, an Echo Lab might have a weapon which has a reduced cooldown time compared to the normal version. You want to try and get this schematic as much as possible, as when the Coriolis Storm comes in, it might not show up in the Echo Lab for another 3 months. It might be sooner, but it'll be a random chance. This means it could be sold on the player market for a high price, or you could become a more powerful guild with higher tier weapons than others. When looking at the footage from the content creator event they held, multiple people were doing the Echo Labs, so often people came in to find the whole place empty. So maybe they'll set a timer on this so you can't go in until the timer restarts, or maybe it enters you and your crew into a different section so multiple teams can do the Echo Lab at once. Or maybe they'll keep it as it is, which I believe it resets every hour, but you can still go in. Looking at this footage also revealed that when you enter Echo Labs, you'll need to find identification bands, which are around the Echo Lab to get access to the other areas inside the lab itself. Echo Labs sound like they will be exclusively in the deep desert, as they talk about the weekly reset of where these areas might appear and the different loot they will have. World events. As you explore Arrakis, certain dynamic events will occur, like the one shown on screen, which is a destroyed ship. Travelling to this location, you'll be able to harvest and loot the ship, but this is not just visible to you, it's visible to everyone. Some world events might be a PvP area, and in that case a pop-up will come up on screen saying it's a war of assassins and you are entering a PvP zone, so you will know the difference between a PvE and a PvP zone when it comes to it. When it's a PvP area, this means it'll be a race and a potential fight to take the loot. If it's a PvE area, it will just be a race to claim the loot first. At night, it's the best time to travel due to the heat of the day, but there are other threats. At night, the Sardaukar patrol this area of the desert with spotlights searching for players. Once they see you, the spotlight turns red and you are stuck hovering for a short time as they start to send down troops to eliminate you. There is a sandworm, which I'll go over in more detail in the video in the top right, but if you make too much noise, the sandworm will be drawn to your location, and you will have to make a mad rush back to rocky lands before you lose all your gear. The map. The starting map is called Hagar Basin and is the same size of Conan Exiles as I mentioned earlier. There are small PvP zones within the first map, so before you get your first ornithopter, you may go into a shipwreck and have to fight over the loot. The majority of the game is a PvE experience though. One area is the social hub / training outposts. Arrakeen and Harko Village, they are safe spaces, which are differently themed based on the faction, House Atreides and House Harkonnen. They have bars, vendors, exchanges, and clubs for dancing. If you want more information, check the video in the top right. Once you have an ornithopter to travel, this will give you access to the bird's eye view map, where you can travel to these locations, and of course the deep desert with everything that entails as well. In Arrakis, there are natural world structures. There is this giant hammer of a rock called Mizrabar. It's a sacred place to the Fremen. Underneath that are different NPC outposts. There is a giant chasm in the world called the Hagar Rift. As you go down into it, it gets deeper and darker, so you'll need to think about lighting systems down there, as opposed to the top. There's also an area of the world where things have crashed and created a giant radiation zone, so you'll need to be properly prepared survival-wise with gear to go into that. Touching a bit more on the technical side, there will be persistent 40-player survival maps, multiple versions of those which connect to the same social hubs and the same deep desert. In a world, there might be 20 of the Hagar Basin maps, and 9 mesh servers working together to create a large space for the deep desert. If too many people go to a certain area, like the deep desert, and the player cap is reached, sandstorms will occur and the police force in the game, aka the Sardaukar, will start dropping down barriers. No phasing will occur. You will be able to see your friends if you are in the same spot as them. You will also be able to see if your friends are online and also what server they are on so you can join them. They might be able to do something where people can rent servers and they'll become part of a world that has multiple servers tied to a deep desert and social hubs. So that is shared between the other rented servers. But the server itself of the Hagar Basin is just you and your friends. This might not be ready at launch, but it's an option they're talking about currently. You won't be able to do massive rule changes, like 10x gathering, as they want it to be a fair experience for everyone. There will be a discussion about crossplay when they talk further about the release on consoles, which is not yet confirmed, so PC will be first, and then a later launch date for Xbox and PlayStation. Stay tuned as I have videos releasing every few days on everything we know so far with Dune. If you are interested in joining a Dune Guild and being part of some videos, there is a link to the Discord in the description. Thanks again for watching, and peace.